I am part of the Washington State rugby team here on campus.
That's a tough sport, man.
Yeah, we actually just won the conference, and
wait, the Pac-12 of 2 teams?
No, it's.
So you beat Oregon State.
We're a club.
I'm trolling
sport.
you.
Yeah,
I'm trolling you.
We're a club sport, so we make our own conference. But we just got invited to nationals, and we have no way to get there. So I was wondering if we could get some sort of fundraiser going, so we can compete in nationals in Washington.
How much
DC.
money do you guys need?
Like 10, 15 grand would do it.
Okay.
We just need to get there. We
You
need
don't
to
need
get
to
there.
get back?
No. Yeah, we do need to get back too.
Where is
we
nationals?
can cover Washington D.C.
Oh, D.C. Wow.
D.C. It wouldn't be fun to compete for
When
the
is it?
national championship in our
When is it?
capital. It is next weekend.
Next weekend?
Next weekend. I think that you can do it. If anybody can do it, Charlie, it's you.
Okay. If you can raise half, I'll put up the other half.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
But not here. Go if you go figure it out. We'll our show, the Charlie Kirk show. We'll put up. But you better not do this private skimming stuff.
Of course not, sir.
We need receipts. You're
Yes,
flying
sir.
Spirit Airlines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will
stay in days in.
We will raise half the money to get to nationals. Thank you.
And then we'll match it. All right. Our team
Great.
will be in touch.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. You better be telling the truth. All right. Not some sort of he's launching a crypto coin or something, Yeah, and then talk to our team. I'm telling you, you match half, we'll do half, you'll be at nationals, okay? Great. By the way, why doesn't the school pay for this? They got enough money. Why am I have to do this? But
our athletics are kind of low on funds right now, and we're not sponsored by athletics. We're sponsored by the rec, which
it's
doesn't
all
get
this
a lot.
bureaucracy. You
Yeah,
guys,
exactly.
don't get me started. But why don't they put that sociology professor on leave and use that money to have you go to the finals, right? Yeah. Anyway, so we'll do half.
Hello there. I'd like to say thank you for doing this. I enjoy talking politics with my friends and everything, so I thank for this open environment. However, I think a big issue is that people just kind of find a diehard and they're not willing to say that they're wrong in certain aspects. So I'd like to ask you, just as a preface to all of this, will you admit that with Trump, what he ran on, from my perspective, was largely the fact that he would end wars and the economy would be better rather instantly is what he was rather pushing for. However, the wars are still going on. We're still seeing crimes against humanity in Palestine and such forth. So will you admit that he was lying, or at least didn't come through on his promises?
No. I mean, he's trying to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. He resisted. Here's how amazing Trump is. Israel was we're going to go bomb Iranian nuclear sites. And Trump's the one that stopped Israel from doing that. It's a deal. You can acknowledge that's big, right?
Yes.
And so as far as the economy, we're 80 days in. Gas prices are down. Egg prices are down. We're going to see a major tax bill. How about we can agree? Let's talk in 1 year about the economy. Cool? Because it's way too early. Let's give Trump a year.
See, I would like that, but the issue that I have with it is the fact that he said the second he gets in, within the first week, I can't remember what his exact words were, he's like, I'll make a call to Russia and we'll get this ended. That was his promise, is what I'm having an issue with.
Fair enough, yes. There is political bravado at times, but to Trump's credit, we are closer to ending this war than escalating it. Steve Witkoff just sat down with Vladimir Putin, who is his special envoy, for 5 hours. It's an incredibly difficult situation to end, and I do want to see the wars end. I mean, you and I have an agreement. I happen to be on the pro-Israel side, and I think what's happening to some of the civilians in Gaza is terrible. I want to see that come to an end.
The rape and the murder and everything, yes.
Well, I don't. Do you have evidence of IDF soldiers raping women?
There's a case with the rape, and that was discussed in the Israel government, I do believe, with some of their official members.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but yeah. So sure, of course I don't support that.
My second main thing is I struggle to see how Trump is for the lower class of people. We see with his tax. I know you've talked about it a bit with this tax cut, and hopefully that comes through and that helps us. However, the tax cuts that push for the top 1% of people, compared to him cutting Medicare, Medicaid, and processes that help millions of Americans, I'm failing to see how that's. And under the disguise of saying that is for money, but he's allowing less money to come into our
let's go
government.
through the 3 things that Democrats are going to vote against. No tax on tips. That's a working class thing. No tax on overtime. No tax on Social Security. Those were big. Those 3.
And I'm okay with those being
I got
taxes,
that.
yes.
And he's actually proposing a tax hike on the 1%. I don't know if it's going to pass, but he has also he's also suggested closing the carried interest loophole. So there's a little more there than you might always hear on the media.
From my knowledge, though, most of the taxes that he has provided, though, largely favored the top percent over the middle class, though, unless I'm wrong. But to my knowledge,
no tax bill has passed.
Yeah, not this term, but especially in his past term.
His first term, it was largely a middle class tax cut. But yes, you are not totally incorrect. Wealthier people also paid less, which, by the way, I think less taxes for everybody is a good idea.
But then may I ask you, what do you think about like his cutting Medicare and Medicaid that helped millions of Americans?
That
with
has not
food
happened
and
yet, though.
Department of Education.
All of this is an ongoing discussion. So, and also he's not touching Medicare at all. Medicaid is very complicated. There's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of abuse. There's a lot of double dipping. So I do think we need to reform Medicaid. Because Medicaid is a distinctly different thing than Medicare.
See, I can agree with you on that on the reform part. Sorry. However, hasn't, to my knowledge, he has yet to bring actually a plan of reform. I've talked about it with some of my friends that are Republican as well, and they said, yes, that Medicare has its issues. And I completely agree. I think a lot of our government needs reform. However, a big of my issue is he's yet to propose a plan to actually reform it. His main thing is just let's get rid of it, per se. Same with like Department of Education.
He's not saying to get rid of Medicaid. That is not correct. But we should get rid of the Department of Education for sure. Like that, like 100%. That
Can I ask why?
Yeah, well, since the Department of Education, have education standards and outputs gone up or down?
I believe they've gone. It depends on what standards you're talking about, though.
Everything. Reading scores, test scores, literacy, our standing in the world. The Department of Education is the Department of Education Administration. There are 21 million people that work for the government in this country. 11 million of the 20 million work in education. Do you know 7 million of the 11 million are not teachers? They're administrators. They're desk workers. They're paper pushers.
Yes.
This is largely pushed by the Department of Education.
Yeah.
It is the Department of Bureaucracy.
Then why not reform instead of harm people in the process of trying to cut
There is
it?
nothing good the Department of Education does that cannot be sent to other departments.
You're telling me there's not one thing in the entire Department of Education of helping students whatsoever, food
that
costs,
can't
et cetera.
also be sent to other departments. See, that's the key. That's what you don't hear in the media. He's not getting rid of school lunches. He's sending that to the Department of Agriculture. He's not getting rid of student loans. He's sending that to the Department of Treasury.
But will it be handled properly?
Better, way better. What do you think? A education bureaucrat or a sophisticated financial expert at Department of Treasury is better at understanding student loans?
Department of Treasury.
Yeah, so he's actually making it better and more efficient. So you think he's just deleting stuff. In reality, he's making things more efficient and sending them to other departments. Does that make sense?
In a sense, I get that, but at the same time, the main worry is that there's no actual like solid concrete plan of like hope.
Of course there
that's
is. You just don't know it.
The entire thing's a big gamble. Same with our economy and the tariffs and everything.
You
It's
think
a big
there's
gamble.
no plan, but you got to dig deeper, man. This administration is far more sophisticated than you think. You think that they're just shooting from the hip and that they're just doing random stuff. These are incredibly talented, smart people that have thought this through, that are very methodical in how they're going about it.
I believe it's Linda McKinnon, Department of Education Secretary.
Linda McMahon.
Linda McMahon.
The WWE great.
But you're saying she's incredibly knowledgeable about
I mean,
this.
she did run the SBA. She ran the Small Business Administration. That's big. She ran a multi-billion-dollar business. I mean,
then into the Department of Education, which is a different stance, though.
yeah, I mean, who would you rather have run the Department of Ed? Like a teacher who's never run anything, or someone who's run a multi-billion-dollar business? Probably the business operator.
Rather someone with a bit more education into actual education processes.
Not really.
I'm not saying like a teacher,
We've had
but you
former
have to have
teachers.
government
Arnie
knowledge.
Duncan was the head of the Department of Education under Obama, and he was a former teacher. He was a disaster. Our education department and our education standards in this country are some of the worst on the planet in the industrialized world. It's largely because we centralize things in D.C. that should be sent to the states and sent to parents and sent to families and local areas. And the president's making good on his promise to abolish the Department of Education.
But in country like in Europe, like Sweden, they have a much higher education level than we do, and they have their government has a much more involved program in the school
They
system
actually have full
themselves.
school choice in Sweden. Do you know that? Do you know they have full school choice in Sweden? Full school vouchers. You can choose any school of your liking.
But the government also is more involved in their schooling. I
Yes
believe.
and no. We don't have school choice in this country. You guys don't have school choice in Washington. The money doesn't follow the child here in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
You know they don't have overbearing teacher unions in Sweden. So you got to do a little more research on some of this stuff. It sounds good. It feels good. It might be a meme you saw on social media. There's a lot more depth on this stuff. I encourage you to keep doing your research. Thank you for your time. Got to get to the next question. Thank you. And again, if you guys disagree, you guys can come to our wonderful team here, and they'll work you through the train here.
Hey, I'm from Germany, so thanks for complimenting on our innovation.
Guten Tag.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi.
Deutschland über alles.
No, not quite.
You don't like your country? No?
I love my country and I'm a patriot.
No, I'm kidding,
but yes, I'm just visiting my in-laws here, so it's awesome to be here today. I think it's great to have open debates for functioning societies, and so it's awesome. I have a question about NATO and the Western Alliance more broadly. And please don't put me in the European box immediately, because I would say that Trump's first term was great as far as foreign policy goes. I think that our Chancellor Merkel did a really bad job with NATO and actually also with domestic policies. But now that we have the Ukraine war and Germany is actually paying more than 2% of their GDP to NATO and many other members as well, Trump is now raising it to 5%, which I think is, like, maybe you call it the art of the deal, but I think it's unreasonable. And the US themselves don't spend 5%, so I don't know quite where he's going. But my main question is about Ukraine, Russia, which you guys like bordered on a little bit. You said like Stephen Witkoff did a great job, and he's like been there for 5 hours. He's been there several times now. I mean, they were bargaining also in, I think, Doha with the Secretary of State. Yes. So I don't see how the peace through strength that I actually think Trump did in the first term is working out this time. And my worry is that the second term is going downhill really fast as far as foreign policy goes, because as far as Russia goes, they've so far just answered with further attacks on civilians as well on Palm Sunday, which even Trump called a mistake. And after golfing at Mar-a-Lago,
that is true.
Yes, and after golfing at Mar-a-Lago with a European leader, he was at least like softly threatening with further sanctioning the Russian economy, but he hasn't done it so far. And I don't understand why Trump, if he thinks he's a strong leader, after proposing a 30-day ceasefire, which Putin disagreed, then he wanted to narrow it down to just energy infrastructure, which is in his interest, because the Ukrainians have a couple of points where they're actually pretty good. One of them is energy infrastructure. So it was a bad deal, and he already got concessions from the Ukrainian side.
What's the question? Yeah.
Well, the question is, why, if Trump says that he's a strong leader, why is he not getting Putin to agree with him? And why do you see that they are closer to an agreement than they have been during the Biden administration? I don't think Biden did a good job because they had no strategy. But
Biden wasn't even talking to him. I guess, so as a German, let me first comment on the NATO thing. Trump proposing 5% is to try to make good on the many years where Germany was under 2%. So for many years we paid for NATO, and this is just catching up for that.
Correct.
That's his belief. Fair or
Yes.
unfair, that's his belief. But you can agree, for 30 years we've paid the lion's share of NATO costs. America has. And I don't hate NATO. I inherently don't think it's a bad idea. I do think we shouldn't have NATO expansion. I think that's been a mistake. But
NATO's expansion as far as Ukraine, or also as far as
Ukraine and
Sweden?
Finland, I think, was a mistake. Finland is very Russian in a lot of ways, and you can even acknowledge
Yes,
that.
but I mean, Russia pushed them into NATO. With
I know,
invading.
but Finland was even neutral in World War II. I mean, like, it was like Finland is a very edge case. You as a European would respect that.
Of course, it's fine.
It's
But
fine.
let's not get into
I don't want to get into that, but I would just
yes.
ask the question, because this is the most important question. Here's the way that we look at it as Americans. Through door A, we can continue this war. We will give more armaments to Ukraine, and 1 million more people are going to die. For what?
Not helpful, I agree, yes.
Yeah, and then door B is to try to find some settlement. Do you think we should try door B more than door A?
Absolutely,
Okay,
but
we
I think
agree.
he should put the same type of pressure on both sides.
So what- yeah, fair
because
enough.
right now, I think he should just sanction Russia and see where they're going. Because right now,
I don't
just
think
push
you're
them
incorrect.
further.
I don't think you're incorrect. Russia thinks they're winning, and they are.
And they are,
So,
but-
but the question is then, what else can we do to Russia? Because Joe Biden did so much. I mean, they dumped their dollar bills from their reserves. I mean, there's very little that we can continue to do to Russia
I think
outside
you
of
could-
supplying more weapons.
Yeah, but like, for example, supplying more weapons. Like there's like,
That's a no-go for us.
but why can't you supply more weapons
Because-
as long as Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire? I'm great,
because
and I think
we have a
ceasefire would
different
be good.
view of the war than Biden. We don't think it's primarily America's responsibility to hold up Ukraine.
Okay, I agree with
So
that.
we just
but
have a
now-
different philosophy.
Okay, that's fine, but like you bordered on the horrible withdrawal from Kabul. I think that no matter what Biden did, like this is what Trump inherited. So that's how democracies work. So he can't do anything about what his predecessor did. Now he's in this place, and I think that if you just drop out and after saying in 24 hours I'll solve this war, and not getting it fixed, and just saying we'll stop being active there at all, I think that will have major ramifications
So,
for all the other
let me ask you, though.
foreign policy.
Let me find where I think we disagree. Do you think we should grow closer to Russia or further away from them diplomatically?
Well, I think you can grow closer to them, but
we
I
agree.
think you should definitely not grow closer to them as long as they're still fighting civilians and as long as they still keep the war up. Because I think
the
you
bombing that Russia did is morally indefensible. I
yes,
agree.
but so like they are talking, and especially JD Vance. So a quick question:
I like
do you
JD a
think,
lot.
Do you think that Trump and JD Vance are in alignment as far as their foreign policy?
Yes.
100%.
I mean, they're not the same carbon copy person, but JD serves at the pleasure of the president. I'm sure JD is more a little bit more cautious than the president is at times.
Yes, he's less of an interventionist.
Correct.
And I think that, to be honest, I think that Trump is a pragmatist. And J.D. Vance is much more ideological about this whole thing, which you saw a little bit with the Houthi attack, like with the Signal Gate, where apparently he did not want to do the same thing as Trump did. And I just don't see how this is in any way in America's interest.
How do you think?
If you're perceived as a weak partner to negotiate with, because so far,
So your opinion-
the Europeans are definitely thinking, and I think many more other countries as well, that Putin is playing with Trump, and I don't think Trump should be played with.
It's a tough situation. I got it. Thank you for that. And I can tell you're coming from a good perspective. The difficulty is that even bringing the Russians to the table has taken a lot of concessions because of how far apart this was at the beginning. And now I don't think it would be unreasonable for Trump to be able to use other non-military measures to try to remind Putin that he can't just bomb civilians and we're actually trying to end this war.
I agree.
Where we as America Firsters come, though, we want to see this war ended, and we want this war machine to not be sending more armaments and missiles to a foreign country where a lot of people are going to continually unnecessarily die. And the problem is that as a European, this is much more close to home than it is for us, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I agree with you mostly. I just don't know. Would you also like to have a normalization of the relationships to Russia,
Yes,
even
big
if they continue the war?
It's contingent. That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay, because
Because
I
I-
think if you do that, and that's my main point about NATO, I understand that the states say we want to focus on the Indo-Pacific because that's way more important to you guys than Europe, which I understand.
And for Germany too. I have to
I
say,
agree.
I think China's a bigger threat to Germany than Russia. I really do. I know you might disagree, but
Well, I agree as far as like infrastructure goes. I don't agree as far as the conventional.
Fine.
Yes.
Ground war.
But I agree with you. But I think that what Trump is doing right now is first of all pushing the Europeans more towards China. This is more like as far as the trade stuff goes.
that's an unintended consequence. You're probably right.
Yes, but I also think that you're pushing Russia further to China because I think so. I think that Putin right now thinks
It's too
he
early.
gets away
Too
with
early to
anything.
tell. Too early to tell. So
Well,
you might.
but why do you think that? Why do you see goodwill in Putin? Like he could have agreed to that 30-day ceasefire, no problem. It was more to
I'm not
his
even saying I
interest.
see goodwill in Putin. I'm willing to give peace a chance because that has not been tried. And here's the most frustrating thing. We had a peace deal on the table a week into the war in Istanbul, Turkey, and Tony Blinken and Boris Johnson blew it up.
I agree.
And I know, and there would have been less land for Putin, and it would have been no lives lost. And so this whole thing is so maddening. I trust the president to try to find a resolution here. And as a European, I think you're making very substantive good points. We just have a very different perspective. Why? We've spent $250 billion, right?
Which you might get back with the mineral deal, but we'll see.
Yeah, but also we've been invaded on our southern border while we did that. So it kind of plays into this idea that our leaders care about the foreign and not the immediate. And not to, insult your country, but there has been...
Please don't.
No, I'm just saying, for like 20 or 30 years, the Europeans have been a little asleep at the wheel.
Yes.
They've said, America will protect us, we could pay money for other stuff.
Yes, but now
that is changing.
But now we are leveling up.
Finally, but
we just passed a $1 billion debt deal.
I know,
to
but you and I
increase
both know Germany does not have a military-industrial base.
No, but this
you
is
guys
my
can't-
thing. You should have Europe, as far as the economical power on your side, to be able to fight China. Because if you don't have the leverage of saying Europe is on our side in the Indo-Pacific, I think that'll have a major backlash.
That's
And
a
even though
smart point. I'm
we
not
don't
even,
have tanks
I'm not
or
even
any-
disagreeing with that. I want to give President Trump opportunity to end this war, and I'll just repeat this. You have to give him a little more credit, in my opinion, in your calculus of how hard it's been to even get Putin to talk. Because this was an icy relationship.
I agree with that.
No, I know. I just
think
want you to
that
factor that in.
I just think he should pressure them and
Fair
finally
enough.
put sanctions on.
Got it.
Can I ask one more question
Yes.
about tariffs?
Very quick,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is like a little bit related because I think you can't quite separate tariffs and foreign policy and other wars. So do you think that Trump is going to get a lot of good deals in the next 90 days?
Oh, yeah, the deals are already happening, yes.
Which ones?
Japan, South Korea, he tweeted out today, or Truth or whatever, Vietnam is coming down the pike. And by good deals, we mean more American products sold in these countries.
Yes, I think that's a little bit one-sided because you guys have the great advantage to like export services all over the place.
Germany has a lot of it. No. You guys have BMW and Mercedes
Yes,
and
but-
Volkswagen and Bar,
Well, Trump was
Bear
asked-
and
Trump was
Hugo
asked who's-
Boss and Lufthansa.
I agree,
You
but-
guys have some really good companies.
BMW,
so.
you mentioned BMW.
Yeah,
they
Bavarian
export
Motor
a
Works.
lot from here.
No, that is true. But if they're made here, that's tariff-free.
Yes, but I'm
Period.
just
It's
yes.
zero tariff. But
Okay.
BMW, to your credit, BMW makes a ton of product in America.
Yes, and last question.
But can
do
I
you
ask a
think-
question?
Yes.
How many Ford Explorers do you see in Germany?
None, but they're also a little too wide because our streets. are
Okay,
narrow.
yeah.
So
you
there's
you
issues
Germans
with that.
like your little skinny cars on the Autobahn, right?
Okay, last
Let me
question.
ask you a funnier question. Do you see any Teslas?
Yes, we do. Now with stickers, I bought this before Elon went
Oh,
crazy.
really? In Germany? Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, one question about
Yeah,
Elon
sure.
Musk. So, do you agree that it would be a good idea, which he put forth when he was in Italy, I think 2 weeks ago, to have a free trade zone between America and the EU?
Potentially, only if the EU makes a big promise on LNG.
I think they would be totally willing to.
That's
because
the
we're-
condition.
Yeah.
If Europe is going to be able to use America as their sole energy source, I think it's a good idea. And if Germany will drop its tariffs on our imported goods.
I think they're willing to.
Okay,
and
then-
I think
then that should be the
I
goal.
think Trump should have a good relationship with Merz, and they should stop supporting
But
the AfD.
there's one last thing. Europe has to stop this crackdown on free speech. And
Yes,
you'll-
but look,
Hold
JD
on,
Vance,
hold on.
JD Vance's speech was good the first third, but he takes like one instance
No,
from
it's
Britain.
not one instance, my friend. No, in Germany, there are hundreds of instances where they are knocking on doors and arresting people for hate speech violations
But
because
the
they're
thing
racist.
with the abortion clinic would have never happened in Germany, and Britain has a far
This is
left
not even an
government.
abortion clinic. This is for racist
No,
speech
but I'm
online.
saying what JD Vance quoted in his speech at the Munich Security
got it. I
Conference.
know. I gotta get
where
to the
I
next
also
question,
think
but
he should have talked about
we will
security.
only. I think Europe needs to become a much better protector of freedom of speech than it currently is.
I agree with
And-
that,
and-
but I don't think you should put all the European countries in one box.
Germany's pretty bad.
I think you are wrong about that.
All right.
You
I'm
should
coming to
have good
Germany in
commercial-
May. I hope to see you
All
there.
right. Thanks for talking
Thank
to
you
me.
very much. Hello.
Hi, Charlie. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you about Elon Musk. So I just had like a hypothetical question. So if Elon Musk was 3 inches inside of you and you were 3 inches inside of Trump, which way are you moving?
You guys
Like
waited
back-
so far in line, and I got that question yesterday. Next
Oh,
question. Thank you.
I missed it.
He thought that was funny.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Okay, fist length. Hi, Mr. Kirk. My name's Hudson. I wanted to ask, how is cutting U.S. foreign aid beneficial to the United States?
Well, more money for us. And also not funding countries that hate us, primarily, some of which. We should not be the world's piggy bank.
Well, I feel like soft power is very beneficial as against like providing weapons. It's a very good foreign policy tactic over just
sounds
strong
good.
army.
Has it worked?
I don't. Has it worked? Could you-
The last 20 years, has soft power across the world, been, which is a neoconservative talking point, has that been good for America and good for the world?
I feel if we could prevent the death of even a small number of people, it's beneficial. Giving HIV vaccines, any other vaccines is very beneficial. It can prevent the COVID 2024, 2026 if it was to happen in Africa. I think just stopping another COVID and then another stock market fall would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with USAID money, but
It has everything to do with it. Don't we give a ton of money to Africa for vaccinations of USAID?
well, that's very little. That's a very little portion of it. But most of the money are just blank checks to their governments. They're just here, go spend the money. I mean, in Iraq, we spent $20 million on, a Sesame Street equivalent in Iraq. I mean, the stuff is so
Sesame
ridiculous.
Street, the Ring Road?
Yeah,
Wait, the Sesame Street, like the.
yeah, the
Yeah,
cartoon.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
So, I mean, look, I asked the question: has it worked? The last 20 years did soft power work in Libya? Did soft power work in Venezuela? Did soft power work in Somalia? Did soft power work in Iraq? Did it work in Syria? Did it work in Yemen? Like, did it work in Ukraine? Ukraine's a great example of USAID money. We've pumped tens of billions of dollars into Ukraine. Hasn't really worked. So this idea that, like, we as the
I don't agree with your argument because.
well, then show me an
Ukraine is-
example where it's worked.
Well, Ukraine is still standing.
Barely.
Everyone,
I mean, Ukraine's a destabilized, corrupt country where oligarchs have fleeced their citizens for 30 years because of U.S. taxpayers. 20 years.
well, I can imagine there's quite a bit of corruption in Ukraine
Yeah,
and
quite a
Russia. Corruption can be a part of a system. However, I think without the United States, Ukraine would have fell quite quick without the amount of money given.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I don't think Vladimir Putin would have invaded if we didn't say Ukraine was going to go to NATO, which we said multiple times. We largely provoked Vladimir Putin's evil invasion of Ukraine. It was largely provoked by us.
By us?
Yes.
But aren't we quite powerful?
Yes, and we shouldn't have provoked it, is what I'm saying. We should have grown closer to Russia, not further away from it.
I think Russia's always been a pretty bad faith ally throughout history. I think history.
Okay. I mean, well, we did work with them to defeat the Nazis, right? So
Yeah, and then immediately after that, they were the enemy for 50 years, and
even though, and the question is whether should happen. Thank you for your time. I got to get to this question.
Okay, thank you.
Who wants hats, everybody? Let's do some. That was a lot of them. Okay, yes.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Caden, and I was wondering, how do you feel? Yeah.
Quiet down, guys. Oh, yeah, all the way in the back. We'll throw one. I'll get one back. Let me see if I can get one. It's pretty good. Yep.
How would you feel about a legal or a federal, all-wide federal legalization of marijuana?
Yeah. I have the most unpopular opinion on weed.
Okay.
I don't think it should be legalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So earlier, you stated. Oh, okay. So, would you like to be taught by somebody that
Taught.
Taught. Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to be taught by somebody that that smokes marijuana?
No.
Earlier, you said that Joe Rogan would be a better alternative to listen to, if I believe you said 50 hours, that it would be a better alternative to most of these college teachers here.
Again, he ain't doing the teaching, man. He's doing the asking.
Well, you just said he would be a good person to learn from.
His podcast, for sure. Yeah, and by the way, for the record, Joe Rogan does a lot harder drugs than marijuana.
Well,
okay?
that's what I'm saying.
He does
but,
psychedelics, he does LSD, he does mushrooms, he does all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, this is going on YouTube, so I didn't know
You
what
what?
I could. This is going on YouTube, so I didn't know what I could say.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, but I think it's a fun point that you're making.
Yeah, but what's your reasoning for marijuana not being?
I mean, okay, so I guess let's first just let's just go through what we were promised. We were promised that when weed was going to get legalized, less kids were going to use it. Do you agree? That was a talking point?
I mean,
Are less kids doing marijuana? More kids are doing
Probably
marijuana,
not.
number one. Number two, we were told, hey, this is going to prevent them from doing other drugs, and all drug overdoses are going to go down. Are all drug overdoses going down? No, they've been going up dramatically the last couple of years. Number three, they're like, hey, if we legalize weed, it's going to weaken the cartels. Cartels are stronger and richer than ever. They just went to harder drugs and trafficking human beings. Fourth, which I think is an important point, which is, do you want to try to get drug usage up, or do you want to try to get drug usage down? And I'm like, some people say up, like, fine. I don't actually want to live in a hyper-medicated, substance-addicted society. Personally, I see what it's done to my home state of Arizona. It has brought in more crime. It's brought in more homelessness. It's brought in a lot of kids that got unnecessarily addicted to these substances. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I think for all those reasons, we should not rush to try to make more things that are illegal legal, which is different than alcohol, which is currently legal to make it illegal. But again, if we want to talk about alcohol is really bad for you too. Like, way too many people drink. People are very violent when they drink. There's a lot of domestic abuse. So
how come alcohol is able to be legal though when weed's not? When the effects of alcohol make somebody more violent.
Can we agree alcohol should be illegal?
Yeah, but they tried that and it didn't work out.
No, it actually worked pretty well. You should all study prohibition. It actually worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Violence, crime went down. There was a lot just happened, and a lot of people
there was
wanted.
actually a bunch of uprisings in a bunch of cities.
Yeah, there were uprisings. Fine. It's I guess people need to be able to medicate themselves. That's fine, I guess. But is that going to make us super competitive against China? Is more kids doing dope and more kids doing weed? It's a lot. And by the way, It makes you a lot more paranoid, a lot more anxious than people realize. I actually just did a podcast with Bill Maher yesterday where he was smoking weed the entire time. It's like secondhand inhaling this crap.
How was it?
Awful, actually. And look, again, if you privately want to do it in your own home, I guess you have a right to do it. But we are trending towards a society that is promoting and elevating series of substances that do not make you hyperproductive. Do you know what Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson and myself all have in common? We don't drink alcohol. We don't do any drugs. The most hyperproductive people that I find that are actually able to achieve stuff are not the ones that are like, doing LSD or smoking dope. Like, yeah, I guess Joe Rogan is an exception to that. But like, I'll just be honest, guys, you're being sold a bill of goods if you think it's good for you.
Well, it's not necessarily like something that's like I would be taking for medication. Like, I mean, not me personally, because I don't have, some sort of disease or like injury to where I would need to take that. But it's just sort of like a fun recreational thing for people.
Has it made the state of Washington a better place to live?
I wasn't old enough during.
No, that's fine. I mean,
when
again,
I
I've seen states that were once
Couldn't tell you.
really great, and I don't think weed has made it a better place to live. I just don't. You can say there's other factors. Of course there's other factors, but
I don't think weed has actually had like that drastic of an impact, It like hasn't.
I mean, again, more kids are doing it. We have more
People
hospitalizations. We have more 13, 14-year-olds that are doing edibles. We have more people. By the way, it makes you very paranoid, and you can get a lot. It screws with your brain in a way that
if
people.
you do it in excess, yeah. Of course, everything in moderation. But,
again, the right amount
drink
of
a bunch
weed
of
is none,
caffeine.
and the right amount of drinking is none.
Yeah.
You don't need to go through life medicated all the time. It's actually pretty awesome being sober.
Well, that's what I'm saying, not all the time, but
Yeah,
in
again,
moderation.
I'm of the standard that we treat our society way too much like infants, and as if you need to always have a substance in your body where you can actually be really successful being sober.
Okay. Well,
So,
all right. Thank you.
thank you, appreciate it.
You have a great day.
Yes, we'll give him a hat. Let me see if I can get. Oops. Thank you. There you go. Hey, I almost got on his head. Yes, sir. Also, if you guys disagree, you guys can get worked through the line here. Yeah.
Just want to thank you for coming out here and answering all these questions to start off. My biggest problem with Donald Trump is I feel like throughout his political career, he's built it around just degrading, belittling, and insulting anybody who disagrees with him. I strongly believe that a house divided against itself cannot stand, and I think his approach to politics in the United States is making us more divided, and I think in the long term we will see repercussions for that.
Okay, what's the question?
Well, whether or not you agree with that assessment of
No,
that
I
situation.
don't. We won the election, so I mean, like, what is the relevant question, though?
Well, the relevant question is, do you think that approach to politics and where the stigma is right now is going to be dire in
No, I think
years
it's
coming?
somewhat of a miscategorization. I mean, are there things that he says that I wouldn't say? Is there a style that he employs that I don't employ? You see how I do things. It's not always like that.
Right.
But can you acknowledge he also keeps his promises? That's pretty good, right?
Well, I mean, not necessarily all is probably. The war was supposed to end on day one. The war didn't end on day one.
I mean, again, there is some political bravado to some of this stuff, but the border is secure, right?
Well, it's more secure now.
No,
yes.
it's totally secure. We have literally nobody coming across the southern border. I mean, so he in the first term he kept promise after promise after promise after promise, and so I guess what would you prefer? Someone like Donald Trump that has a style you don't like, or someone like George W. Bush that has a style you like and was a terrible, awful, lying president?
Well, it's less. I mean, the style is going to turn into big demonstrations that we see across the country, where it becomes vulgar and it becomes difficult to work with one another. I mean, if you look at you can pick January 6th, or you could pick riots on the left side.
You saw this kid that got punched by a professor here for wearing a Trump hat?
No. But
it's the other side doing it. We're not doing that.
But it's both sides. Well, okay, January 6th is an example of that happening.
Okay, how about
on the right,
something
but
within the
also-
last 3
No,
years?
but
Anything within the last 3 years?
within the last 3
You
years.
can't name a single example
of
right-wing violence in the last 3 years.
I mean.
We're incredibly peaceful. No, seriously, you can't name an example.
but
I can name Tesla dealerships being burned, death threats every day against Tulsi Gabbard and President Trump. Oh, I don't know, President Trump getting shot on the 13th of July in Butler, Pennsylvania. So I just find it to be just a little bit, outrageous that, well, it's Donald Trump dividing the country. I know that he got shot. I know that they want to kill him. and I know that he's been keeping promises. I know that the left is, trying to murder us in the streets and punching our students in the face, and I understand that they're hunting everybody with a Trump supporting hat down, but it's somehow Trump. So I mean, come on, man.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I think what you're confused
What
about.
are you saying?
That's what I'm about to say. What I think you're confused about is I'm not saying that I'm in support of what's happening on the left. I think the kid that got punched out in front of the Coug, awful situation. I think burning down Teslas, creating violence on the left side, I think that's an awful thing to do. I do agree with that. But I think that Donald Trump, and I mean the President of the United States, ultimately has some form of a responsibility to try to unite people. And I think that the stigma on both sides is just rising up, and I think that's as a result of the leader we have now. And also the final point, just on January 6th, just because January 6th happened 4 years ago opposed to 3, doesn't make it any less significant in this conversation.
Again, 90% of the people there did nothing violent. They walked into the Capitol. They said a prayer. They didn't touch a police officer. They didn't do anything with the windows. And if we want to talk about violence,
They did something with the windows. You see the
again,
videos of
less
the
than 10. Again, like there were like maybe 50 people that were violent there, and over 2,000 people got arrested or convicted. The largest manhunt in federal government history. But again, while we're talking about mass violence and all this. Like, you remember the summer of 2020 where actually material violent crime went up across the country? I know that you're not saying it's good.
I don't agree with that.
But I know, but it's just like, what exactly is your issue with Trump? He says mean things?
Well, I mean, yeah, to some extent.
I mean, come on, man. You're more mature than that. It's ridiculous.
No, but to some extent, what the thing is yeah, you can dumb it down to he says mean things, but he antagonizes the other side so far to the point
come
where,
on,
like,
how?
No, but it's how?
Yes, how?
Anybody who disagrees
The guy,
with him,
they shot him. Oh, he's antagonizing them.
that's
They
not
try
what
to
I'm
put him
saying.
in jail
That's-
for 700 years. Oh, he's
that's not what I'm
antagonizing
saying.
them.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm
show me
saying prior to
examples.
that
Tell me
point.
exactly how Trump is antagonizing the other
I mean,
side.
it's not just the other side; it's Republicans as well.
Show
I
me.
mean,
No,
he gives
come on. Where are your
insults out.
examples?
Okay, well, I mean, from the Republican side, just as a specific instance, at a 2015 Iowa forum with John
That's
McCain.
10 years ago, man.
But he was 60 some odd years old 10 years ago.
This
Does
is
that
an
mean that we can
outrageous
just
claim. I mean,
disregard
can you name anything within the last decade?
that Donald Trump has done to divide
Well, I mean,
the
like,
country?
seriously, it's like, oh, he's antagonizing. Well, there was a thing in 2015 at an Iowa.
Okay, well, just take the debate then against Kamala Harris, a fear-mongering example where he's talking about illegal immigrants coming over and eating the cats and dogs.
Well, how does that antagonize the other side?
Because it creates a situation where it seems like what's going on is worse than it actually is.
But
It's offensive to a lot of illegal immigrants that look at that.
Oh, it's offensive to the people that broke into our country. I'm sorry, leave. You broke into America. I'm sorry that we're offending you. Oh, I'm so sorry. You broke into our country and that you're here illegally. Did I offend you? Oh, you don't eat dogs? Okay, then go back to Mexico. Sorry.
I meant to say legal immigrants. I apologize.
No, it's fine. But I mean, at some point, like, you got to admit, man, like, you're going to like nitpick on things that Trump have said when he is up an existential force that is trying to destroy this country as we know it, that is trying to debase everything we care about. Joe Biden let 10 million people into this country with no idea who they were. How is that not high treason?
Well, I agree with you on the Biden administration's approach with the border was not the best, but then you can also point to when they really sat down and was like, okay, we need to make a bipartisan bill that's going
We
to be
didn't need
able
the bill, though. That's the thing. It was a scam. He closed the border in 10 days. So you're believing the media propaganda. Biden never needed a bill. It was a ploy. Donald Trump did it with no bill in literally a week.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, yeah.
So then why did we need a bill?
Well, what I'm saying is that he tried to take strides to secure the border more, and Donald Trump.
That's a bunch of crap.
No, it's not. In the summer before the election, he pushed forward some policy working with Republicans that would secure the border. Donald Trump called him up and he said, "Listen, this is not going to be good for our election. Kill it."
That's not. Again, you believe so much of the media lies. In the bill, it would have allowed 5,000 people a day to come across the border. Do you know that was in the bill? And it turns out none of that bill was necessary because Trump just closed it on day one. Again, we didn't need a bill. We needed a new president. So I'm not even sure what to make of all this, except for the fact that, like, you instead should be coming up and be like, you know what? I'm so glad that we have President Trump fighting for us every single day, not nitpicking something he said 10 years ago at an Iowa forum. I reject the entire premise. I do.
All right.
I do.
No, and that's fair.
And
I'm sure you do.
So judge him for what he does and how he does it, which is every single day deliver on the promises for the American people.
Yeah. Nah. Well,
Thank you very much.
disagree
Got to
with
get this
that.
question.
Thank you very much.
you. I'll try to throw one there. Any disagreements, guys, we can work through.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Isabel. It's nice to meet you. First of all, I appreciate you having an open forum and not just talking at people, like giving a chance for people to ask questions. So I appreciate that. My question is, I tried to ask someone that knew, but I don't know if, on your stance, if a woman is raped, if they should be able to have an abortion or not.
The baby's life should be protected is my position. So.
Okay, are you aware of Lisa Medina's case?
Was this the Ohio young lady that had to go to another state to get an abortion?
No,
Okay.
she was a Peruvian woman. Well, she was a kid. She was
12, this is the 10 or 11-year-old? Or
5, actually. She was 5 years old, and she had issues with her her reproductive tract, and she was pregnant. She was sexually abused, and she got pregnant at 5 years old.
I am familiar with the 5-year-old. Just so we can both agree, it's a real case that is extraordinarily rare. I mean, it's like a 1 in 300 million case to be able to get pregnant before the age of even 10 or 11.
I agree,
Okay.
but it's...
There's been like 12 documented cases.
Okay, I feel like 12 is still a good amount. Like 12 is still a fair amount of people. You know, they're real people, they're real children.
Yeah, 12 over 60 years is small, but it is real. So please continue.
Okay, so, I mean, rape is pretty common, right? Would you agree with that?
It is, yes. However, there's a lot of fake rape claims as well. But, I mean, rape is not nearly as common as people say it is, but yes.
Okay, well, it's still a pressing issue. I think anyone here could agree that rape is a pressing issue, but
For sure it happens.
I don't understand how someone could argue that the 5-year-old should carry a baby to term. I don't understand how a 5-year-old girl could raise a child, how that child would be given a better life. I understand that you're giving the child life, but I don't understand.
Well,
and I know you have kids. How old are your kids?
2 years and 2 years and 1 year. So,
okay, so if you have really young kids in 3 years, 3 years is not a long time. I won't even have graduated in 3 years. Would you be okay with your child having
again,
another baby?
This idea of 5-year-olds getting pregnant is so insanely rare.
That's not my question.
No, it is. Like, it's not even worth even addressing. However, like, elementally, there's another issue to your problem, which is if they are 5-year-old getting pregnant, their life is in jeopardy. That actually is not the pressing issue of how they got conceived, right? So there's two separate things. Woman's life in jeopardy. Or
the 5-year-old's life wasn't in jeopardy. They had a C-section. It was perfectly healthy.
Then,
so that's not the issue there.
Yeah, then the baby shouldn't be aborted.
Okay, so you'd be okay with your 2-year-old in 3 years
okay.
having a baby?
Well, no, I wouldn't be okay, but would I be okay with terminating another life? No.
So you would rather your daughter at 5 have a baby than have it aborted?
Yes, I would not be able to live with blood in my hands. Would you?
Okay, I think...
No, but let's walk through this. Would you be okay walking into an abortion clinic, hearing a heartbeat, seeing brainwaves, seeing the baby on the ultrasound and say...
Yes. I think...
Wow, that's really, like, that's dark.
But that's not my question. That's why I didn't
No,
want
it absolutely is your question. The question is, you asked me would I be okay with it. You said yes. There's no moral difference between a baby conceived in rape or not.
There is 100% a moral difference.
Really?
Also, you're...
No, time out. Wait, someone in this audience is conceived in rape. Do you know who it is?
I have no idea.
Because they're all human beings, regardless of how they were conceived.
Okay, but that doesn't...
Oh, no, because there's no moral difference of the human being's method of conception. You don't get more rights if you're not raped or less rights if you're raped. You're a human being regardless. Universal human rights apply to all people regardless if they come from a loving family or they come from a horrific, evil tragedy like rape.
Okay, but what about the life and the moral well-being of the mother? And I think as a man, it's something that's harder to understand. If you are raped and you have to go through carrying that baby, that's something you will never be able to understand. And I can agree. That's why I didn't want to debate abortion. I just wrote a paper on abortion. I can totally understand how, in the cases outside of rape, incest, or the life of the mother, how it could be seen as murder or things like that. But I'm specifically talking about rape.
No, I got it. You could see it as it's seen as murder. Then why would murder be the answer to rape? That's exactly what you're postulating.
That's not the answer to rape.
I agree. So life should be the answer to rape, is what we're saying. And if a baby is conceived in rape, you don't all of a sudden say, let's do something more evil because something evil happened. By no moral standard do two wrongs make a right. We know that. We're raised saying that. And so when evil thing happens, human life created, that human has rights, we have to respect them, including the right to life.
And I'm saying I don't think you will ever be able to possibly come close to understanding, as a man, what it is like to be raped and have to carry that baby and relive all of that trauma.
Do you know what it's like
be
to be
able
a
to
man?
understand that. That's not what I'm talking about here.
The point being is, like, are we allowed to discuss stuff just because we don't know what it's like to be the other sex? Are we allowed
I
to
would
have
not be
strong
allowed to
opinion?
discuss what it's like to get a vasectomy or what it's like to experience that. No, I
Okay,
don't
I mean,
have.
but have you
no.
personally been raped?
No,
Okay,
I
then-
have.
then how are
My
you
mother
able-
has been raped.
Okay, but
and
you,
had to carry the
point
abortion.
being is, then how are you able to personally be able
because
to talk
I'm a
about
woman
it?
and I.
You're using a fallacy called a argument from authority that if you only have a certain merit badge or a certain distinction, you're allowed to have opinions on that topic. Men can have opinions on this just because we have prostates and not uteruses.
Okay, and I agree. You can have your
Yes.
opinion. I'm not saying you can't have an opinion, but I'm saying you can't begin to understand the depth of what that would feel like to be raped by someone and have to carry that baby.
Yes, and equally, there are millions of women who regret having their abortions. I mean, so what is the argument? The argument is that...
Honestly, I wanted to know about the
agree.
5-year-old and if you
Yes,
would
I mean-
like your 5-year-old child to have
No,
a baby.
Of course, I would not like it. You are
Okay.
you are putting in an impossible moral situation of, would I be comfortable slitting the throat of a baby on an ultrasound machine?
It's not impossible because it has happened. And
Okay,
I guess 12 times, according to
12
you.
times in 60 years. I mean, it's so insanely improbable for a 5-year-old to go through prepubescent puberty and then get impregnated because they were raped. It's like you have a much higher likelihood of, like, I mean, it's like much higher likelihood of winning the lottery twice than that happening.
Okay.
Just so we are clear.
Okay.
And again, but I answered your question coming in good faith. But would you agree then we can outlaw all other abortions except rape, life of the mother, and incest?
I wouldn't necessarily agree, but I would have to think more about that. But my main issues are with rape, incest, and life
And
of the
again,
mother.
my contention is that it doesn't stop being a human being just because of how that baby came into existence.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Topaz and Sapphire.